I'm going to make this quiet first. Then turn the volume up. It's kind of quiet, huh? And turn it up a bit there. Oh. That's because I've got to turn it right down over here, actually. Alright, that should be good for now. So, sorry guys, a little bit of a weird setup for sure, but we will go on with it and get this series captured. So this is from the next 2021 winter. I believe this is Group D. They did the groups out of order, but it's the last group to be played. And the first matches in this group are Dark versus Zest, and then Raynor versus Cure. So expecting and hoping for some good games, of course. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's see what happens as we get into a little bit of the PvZ. So, Zest is top left and Dark is bottom right. For full transparency, once again, I recorded this earlier on my second computer. And this is the recording playing back, so I'm not sure how the quality will be or anything, but this is the only way I could do this without, while skipping it live. So, here you have got the, this is what we got, guys. It either works now or it never works at all. Thank you very much, by the way, some resubs I didn't get to before. Tassad 12 on the 15-month resub on the Prime, and Black Label 2021 also coming through on the 16-month resub. Welcome back, guys. Sorry, I was just caught up trying to make stuff happen. So I will get you guys on the tree between games here as well, just to let you guys know. And the last thing I want to say before we really dive into the action is, obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, if this turns out to be a fun ZVP, then do consider supporting the YouTube channel by hitting the like, subscribe button, all the usual stuff, etc. Helps us out a whole bunch. So yeah, do check that out as we get this ready to go. It's going to be seeing our link speed coming through from Dark, a couple Queens on the way, a Stargate on the way up from Zest. Nothing really too crazy here just yet to start us out with as we get this underway. Map number 1. It is just best of 3s in this group stage as well. It's just a little bit of a reminder to that. Zest lately has been playing Stargates, but hasn't been playing as much double Stargate Void Ray. He's actually been playing a lot more kind of, well, I'd say more kind of like ground compositions off the Stargates lately, actually. So, excited to see maybe what happens here against Dark. Someone who's, I would say, is typically very good in ZVP, and especially at being aggressive. And, you know, if you're trying to do some weirder ground stuff, I feel like sometimes that might fall flat on its face against Dark. But there's a Robo facility already coming down from Zest, so we're absolutely not going to be seeing a Void Ray here, or any kind of Void Ray setup, at least not to begin with. And I'm not sure of many Void Ray setups that come off the back of a Robo on the single Stargate. So for now, it does look as though we might be getting that little bit of non-SkyTOSS here from Zest. And I gotta say, I'm kind of excited about that. Like I say, it feels like Zest has been trying out some new stuff and is feeling confident in this new stuff as well. So that gets me very excited to see exactly how it plays out and what happens as the Twilight Council will come down with that Robo facility. So, yeah, just straight up an Oracle into the Twilight Robo. It is possible you can go into like an Archon drop from here with DTs. That's not very popular anymore. Zest used to love it, and a couple of people have been doing it again recently, but it's actually, okay, we're just going to drop a charge and like a bunch of gateways, huh? So we're not going to be kind of macro friendly at all. We are going to go full on aggro here from Zest. Absolutely no chill. So no chill, full aggro from Zest as the Temple Archives comes through. Prison comes up. Obviously, all those gateways continuing at the moment as well as we get this settled down for map number 1. So map 1 coming through at the moment. Rotron is going to be finishing up. Lair is on the way as well. A couple drones and a couple overlords also continuing through at the moment here from Dark as the extractors also on the way out. I mean, the question is, does Dark know this is happening? We also go Temple Archives, and as we go Temple Archives, that also means we will be going into Archon. So it's going to be basically just charge on Archon is going to be our setup at the moment. So again, charge on Archon on the setup. The Prism is moving back around up to the top side. And just going to be seeing otherwise a little bit of what else is happening here. As the Oracle, in the middle of all of these Queens. Not sure how important the Oracle is going to be overall. I do think that over time, obviously, the Oracle is... over time, usually an Oracle is really useful. But in this situation, when you're basically just all in the Oracle... I'm not sure if it's like game ending if you lose out on it, but he keeps it alive anyway, so all good. I was just going to be seeing our third base coming up. Of course, fakest third base you've ever seen. That's going to be something to keep in mind here as well. As we just have our robot facility getting the observer going. A few extra gates coming through as well. And yeah, just all of this continuing out right now as our feelings get chased. Now, there's a prism already in the main with the Zealots and Archons coming through here. And Zealots in the middle of the map as well. As how prepared is Dark? 65 drones seems like a lot to deal with this kind of an attack. So maybe was unaware that this was happening right away. Does get rid of the Zealots in the main at least. Obviously, new Zealots not warping in, but he does bring the Archons back to the Prism. And the Zealots in the meantime on the low ground are doing fantastic. 16 workers dead. Prism getting low here. Can we keep that alive? Yes, we can with the Archon Micro too, but now the Archons are low. One went down. It looks like the other is obviously very low as well. 20 drones killed, so good damage so far. I'm just going to be seeing 21 drones go down at the moment here. I'm just going to be seeing the Zealot Archon continuing through. So that continues at the moment. Good damage done. I mean, Zest, obviously in a weird place because you're not in a great spot to kind of macro out the rest of this game with the tech that you've got. I mean, I guess you can go Immortal Archon. You do have the third. And he's going to start probing that up. So I guess it ain't terrible. So yeah, I guess it's okay as we go Burrow. Tunneling Claws, that's going to be how we set up here now. +1 missiles is going to be finishing in a moment or so as well. Oh, some fun stuff. I mean, obviously the Archon pickups were pretty hot as well. Kept them alive as long as possible. Had those Zealots charge in multiple places. Just fun to watch in general from Zest, as it so often is. It's going to be seeing the few roaches kind of chasing each other around, and that's where we stand at the moment here. So, a few more units continue to warp in. Spore Crawler firing onto the Warp Prism, which gets pushed out up to the top. And just otherwise seeing the... Well, otherwise just seeing this game settle down. I mean, yeah, we'll see what the Burrow Roaches can do. I'm very excited about those. They're obviously not exactly the norm, but not a bad choice given the way that the game's setting up right now. Definitely, I think, makes a lot of sense to be making them. So let's see if they can indeed be useful. Let's see if they can pull their weight in this. As like I say, we'll be underway shortly to continue through with this action. I wonder if we can see the roaches get much done. If the roaches don't do much, though, I mean, then that's going to be pretty bad for you. Forge coming up from Zest. I mean, he's actually just pushing right now. So this attack from Zest coming across the map, making its way over here. Just coming to see what it can get up to right away. I mean, it feels like with Roach Ravager, this is going to be a very difficult hold. But the roaches are going to deal damage on the other side, so keep that in mind. A couple force fields go down. Dark straight up gives up this base, just lets it go. It's going to be seeing that hatchery will fall. Obviously, I mean, that's the right idea, I suppose, if you're going to be doing damage yourself with those roaches. Because they have popped up, and you can see, okay, picture in picture here is going to come through, but apparently it's in the wrong place, so they're going to take it off as the army continues through. So there are just roaches everywhere starting to put some action into play. The Immortal Archon continue forward. Oh, do we have an observer to deal with the Burrow? Yes, we do. I actually don't see it, but it must be there because we hit those Ravagers pretty hard right then, unless it was just splash damage. +2 missiles will end up being denied as this little bit of a base rate continues. I mean, not a lot of probes dying across the map, but obviously a lot of mining time being denied. So Zest's income is definitely shot from where he once was. You can see on the picture-in-picture now that, you know, the mining on the natural is not exactly doing too well. Yeah, 12 probes picked off. Finally, some workers are actually going down. As same for Dark, though. Both players losing a lot at the moment. Seeing the production tab, just roaches remaining. 4 mortals left against roaches seems scary, but we're going to get rid of a couple. The Prism super low. Dangerous micro, keeping the Prism microing despite it being extremely low HP. Drop the roaches back down. The natural of Zest is going to end up dying here as well. Dark, what is your plan? We don't see the production tab. I almost wonder. I mean, is he just spamming that roach? He's got a lot of gas. I was just wondering if he could maybe do anything in particular here to follow up, but I guess you just got to keep building roaches. It'll be nice to see the production tab to see exactly what we are building as Dark, though. But I mean, I don't have any control over the observing, guys, so I just gotta yell and hope that the person who observed this in the past feels like rage or something somehow, and that they ended up swapping. Dog's not building, guys. He's stacking money. I'm just trying to figure out what he might be doing. He's stacking money, not building anything. Is it possible he's making like a tech switch or some kind of like big play? Because I'm not sure why he'd be stacking money right now, if not at least spending it on drones. Okay, just spend a bit of something. There's a production tab. Okay, there's a Spire coming up. That's what I wanted to know about, if there was something like a Spire or some kind of transition, because like I say, it was just getting dodgy that his money wasn't being spent at all. So yeah, Spy is going to be the choice. We're going to go into Mutas. I mean, that might be able to force a little bit of a weird base trade or something with this. I guess I don't really hate that per se. Intrigued to see how it plays out. I don't think it's necessarily the... let's see how it plays out. You know what? I'll let the game do the talking. Let's see how the Mutas can do. I feel like Dark had to do something, because if he keeps building roaches, I think he loses. So I think maybe the Mutas are definitely the right idea for doing something different. Let's just see if it can be enough. Obviously, Zest can morph in Archons, and Archons are going to be pretty good to deal with the Mutas. In terms of army versus army, I guess the bigger question is then going to be, what about just base versus base? If we go full-on base trade mode, Zest obviously is going to lose the Prism here and these two Immortals, but he does know exactly what is going on, which is always good information. This Immortal is going to get taken down. And yeah, Zest, what do we do now then? He's actually already pushing with more units, so he's actually just ready to go base trading across the map anyway. So Zest begins to base trade across the map. He's going to pull some probes away from the base that's not being attacked yet, so you can keep those alive for a while. It's obviously also not a bad idea. So let's just have some surrounds on Spore Crawler, etc. I'm just going to be seeing 26 drones, 28 drones going down. That's going to be seeing the work count continue to drop off. Lair, Spire continuing to come on in trouble as well. I mean, the Mutas are starting to clean up some of these units from Zest, because obviously the idea is that Zest doesn't really have any anti on that army. It was very limited. He's trying to get a Phoenix up, but the Stargate gets killed. So again, he just knew about these Mutas a little bit too late. Like, he had a good timing read on them, but just not maybe soon enough. I'm just going to be seeing our 30 drones dead. Zest still has a better army supply. 15 Mutas against one Archon. There's just no anti-air for Zest. So again, that's going to be his biggest problem of all here, trying to make his way through this. It's going to be seeing our Mutas still coming through. A couple of Zelds going to get picked off as... Well, I mean, the Mutas, I think, can fight the Archons, and that's going to be the plan. So Zest will lose these. I mean, I don't know why these Archons are fighting out in the open. If you're going to have Archons, at least just put them next to cannons and batteries in a mineral line. Nonsensical, I think, to actually just do this, as we are going to see Zelds being sent across the map. So maybe he wanted to keep the Mutas away from the Zelds so he could just go for the hatcheries. Hatchery on the natural is going to go down. Then the hatchery in the main, I mean, Dark only has 7 drones anyway. Hatchery in the main, left side is not going to die. The lair in the main was low HP, so this will go down. We've already gotten rid of the hatchery on the right side. So it's just the hatchery on the bottom side of the map. We're going to try and kill the Spire as well. That will go down. Not like Dark, like I say, has any money left. I guess the problem is, and the idea is, if Zest can just hold out on his top base, he's going to get this base as well. Oh, Dark's going to GG. I think Zest has enough static defense. The Mutas can't break Dark. Dark's Mutas can't break him. And so the idea is, if Dark's Mutas can't break him on a base and he gets rid of Dark's bases, Dark might just be all in. Jam, that was kind of crazy. I mean, even then, I feel like Dark just GG'd out, and maybe he could have stuck around and tried, but I guess he just knows his army's not going to do enough. As we get ready for game number 2 in a second. Map number 2. As Zest gets the first game against Dark. Let's see if he can give it up. Really crazy game, to be fair, at the end. I mean, that's one of those ones that you kind of look back on and say, well, I mean, you could see so many different outcomes of this, right? So, yeah, pretty crazy game, all said and done. As we get ourselves ready for the next game along. Yeah, I wonder what else Zest is going to try out in this series then, if it's what he's trying already. Some different stuff, some non-SkyToss. Maybe he will go to SkyToss at some stage. It's not necessarily something you have to stay away from all series long. I did like the idea of changing it up a bit, but yeah, I still think it's a good style, right? So I'd be surprised, like I say, if he does it. Or stays away from it completely. Let's see what happens on Hardwire. It's really a map where, like I say, you can play SkyToss. I mean, most maps you kind of can. It's more a question of what Zest wants to do and what Zest wants to try out. Which I guess we'll be finding out fairly shortly. Not really too much super weird on the immediate opening or anything right now, so yeah, nothing really kind of crazy there to begin with. We'll just get ourselves set up into this next map. So on we go. Cybercore is going to be finishing. Pylon sets up over in that corner. And well, I guess we'll see the tech choice in a moment. Nice posters, would love to get them. They're canvases from the Blizzard store, so I mean, maybe they're not all still available, but I believe some of them are. They're not cheap either, though, because like I say, they're not just posters, they're canvases, so. Very cool, though, if you have some space to hang them in. They look very good. Obviously, they actually just look nice on the wall because they're a canvas. They come off the wall, they're not just a poster, they're not just flat, so. Yeah, I like them a lot. There's a Stargate to begin with here from Zest. Of course, we saw Stargate to begin with last time, and obviously we ended up on that crazy situation, so don't just take the Stargate being built as a sign of us knowing what's actually going to end up happening here. That's going to be seeing our Oracle on the way out then, and a few of these queens just continuing through at the moment. Getting that up and ready to go. Now the Stalker is going to ping away at the Overlord, so just going to be dealing a little bit of damage over there. Just going to push it up to the high ground or so, and yeah, otherwise we, I suppose, wait to see what exactly will be next. We got a Rotron still coming up. The Oracle's on the way through as well. So yeah, just kind of waiting for exactly what happens as Dark has the bottom side of the map covered up with his bases. So yeah, waiting to see what happens. Oracle didn't dive straight in. Obviously, if there's been a second Oracle, it does mean as... Oh, don't lose the first one, though. It does mean if there's a second Oracle on the way up that you're obviously already expecting this to just not be Void Rays again, so already looking towards a bit of a different non-Void Ray style here from Zest. Which, again, I will stand by, thinking is very, very cool, very interesting. And excited to see more. Gonna grab an Ovi off to the side, then into again a couple Oracles will move down. Nexus is on the way up. And we're just gonna be seeing our Twilight Council and a Forge to follow this. So we are gonna go for that ground army then, a few adepts with these Oracles to put on some pressure. And that's how we get settled for the moment. Like I say, just Zest to try and switch it up, doing some different styles, focusing on this ground army a little bit. It's a bit different. It's definitely not the absolute norm. Let's see what more comes of it. He gets a few drones. Yes, the Oracle's doing okay. The Adepts don't find a chance to commit in, unfortunately, so we won't see anything from those guys. But otherwise, pretty reasonable across the map. He's just going to go Blink and +1, so heading into that kind of Blink-focused army, that's going to be the way that this continues for now. Setting up for that, I'm just going to be seeing the... it's just chilling, a lot more gateways setting up as well, so just bringing those into play as the Oracles will continue to, again, look for damage. I mean, Zest has been good at just finding new ways in. There's a couple of drones here, probably could have had another. Do you feel like that was maybe a little bit off from expectation, perhaps? Just going to be seeing the couple of drones do end up falling. So a couple of those drones fall. Dark's only on 60-ish workers, by the way. I feel like he's constantly afraid of what's coming next while trying to tech up, and just doesn't want to go to a super high drone count right away, which might bite him a little bit later on, right? I mean, if you're being extremely cautious now, then that's all well and good, but again, it puts you into trouble later down the line, because being cautious now means you don't have the economy to deal with a later army, etc. So, I'm kind of intrigued by Dark still just sit on 59 drones and pumping out units while attacking. It just feels like he's doing everything apart from setting up the late game economy, so... I mean, if Zest attacks into him, though, with +1 and Blink, then he's going to look like a genius, right? So we'll catch just one drone. Going to be the same story over in the natural, bar a couple of lings that get involved as well. Just going to see the rest of these gates going through. Blink going to be finishing up. And again on the continue. Now, Robobay is about to finish, so Zest can start making his way into Disruptors. Obviously, that will line up as Lurkers and so on take to the stage on the other side. So we're going to have that coming through shortly. Gonna see a couple of Adepts shading forward, trying to put some pressure on with this initial army, I imagine. Just sort of saying like, oh, look, you know, I am here. You know, be afraid, be making units already. The thing is, Doc still has just been making units this entire time. Zest doesn't know it, I don't think, but actually the best thing he could do is just not attack, because Doc has just got a terrible eco. So if Zest just sits back and keeps on building up, then he's going to be in a great spot. It's if he attacks and gets aggressive, that's when Doc is actually going to start having a really good time. That's when Doc's going to have a, actually just clean up and just have the time of his life, actually. So kind of building up for that and seeing exactly which of the situations will arise first. I mean, Zest is just expanding. That gets me hopeful for Zest, because if Zest is just taking expansions, that means he's obviously less likely just to be attacking in. Obviously, he gets a Stargate and a Fleet Beacon too, so it looks as though we are just going to see Zest playing for the later game. And like I say, I've said it a couple times already, I'll say it one more time just to reiterate the fact. I think that's the right choice for Zest, given the current situation of things and what Doc is getting up to as well. I think it's absolutely the right idea. Couple carriers on the way out. Doc I mean, what's interesting for Doc is he's gonna max out. Once Doc maxes out, what happens then? Like, is it good for him to max out and take one fight? Like, I feel like the first fight for Doc might be good because he'll just have a lot of army supply, but he won't have economy behind it to remax on, right? Seismic Spines is coming up. All these Lurkers continuing through, plus 2 missiles coming up as well. Army collects together. Just going to be seeing the carriers continue to produce now. Disrupt on the way out. Lurker coming through, a few Hydras on the way, and just going to be seeing again, waiting for one of these two to commit. I mean, now we're maxed. Like I say, does Doc just go? Does he fight? Does he wait? That's a very weird CVP in my eyes. I feel like I'm not fully in sync with what exactly the plan is on either side. Well, I mean, from Zest, I think it makes sense. I do think Zest has made the right moves. It's Doc's side of things which I think is weird, and obviously that makes it weird for Zest, because it's like, well, you know, what Zest is doing, I suppose, makes sense, but you just don't see people playing like this a lot. Is he made a ground army, never got aggressive. Oh my god, he gets jumped on and absolutely murdered. Well, there's no answer to the carriers, but there doesn't need to be, because everything else just died for free, basically. That is absolutely brutal. And Zest is going to go chasing this army of Doc away down the bottom left side. Zealots are going to turn. Lurkers are going to be fighting against those Zealots, putting some good damage out. I mean, like I said, there's no immediate answer to carriers, but I guess the Queens are coming through and they will help. Extra Hydras on the way. They will push the carriers back as well. Man, that was just such a one-sided fight. Don't even think Zest expected that to happen right then and there. I mean, was Zest just pushing forward too soon? I mean, his army's maxed. I guess over time he was getting a better army because he's still adding on more carriers. So in theory, why are you attacking now when you can kind of wait and it only gets better for you, right? So, yeah, I mean, can you fault Zest there? Maybe. I think you just got to give credit to Doc. Either way, I don't think Zest is wrong to be kind of posturing a little bit, but Doc just coming out with a fight that confidently and just that sort of like, boom, here I am. Immediately everything gets wiped out. That's always going to be pretty rough for you, so. Alright, well, Lurker's burrowing up. A few Zealots are getting pushed around at the moment. I was just going to be seeing this really turning into, I mean, Lurker's chasing after a bunch of these Zealots. Yeah, this is, I mean, at this point, Zest just, I don't know what you do as Zest. I feel like right now he just doesn't have anything left because the rebuild from what he had is just so difficult to get to. I guess the carriers are going to kind of carry him for a little while. Carriers for now will kind of keep you in a position where I guess that's something that Doc doesn't have an immediate great answer to. Like I say, Hydras are okay, but not the best, and that's maybe why we're making that Storm as well. But Doc is definitely putting on the pressure and slowing Zest down a lot, so doing a good job of that. Because otherwise you just, well, I mean, actually, Zest's going to get aggressive here, pushing forward. See, this is what I guess I'm worried about for Dog. Now he's on 75 drones, so it's a bit of a different story, but in a way it was like, well, what if Dog just kind of, you know, takes a fight and then has to rebuild, and he's never had a great eco? I mean, the first fight was just so good for him that it never really, you know, my question never really gets answered, right? Because in these scenarios, it's just very much so. The fight was so good, it didn't really matter, but it actually makes me wonder if that fight was any worse for Dog. I really feel like he would have struggled to hold on, because then I think Zest could have kept on pushing. And again, Dog's rebuild would have been extremely lackluster, so I'd love to kind of get a rewind in a way and sort of be like, well, what if? You know, what if this happened? What if that happened? Very interesting. Now, Hydra still wanted to push up this right-hand side. Obviously, Dark is still eager to keep the pressure up and just try and slow Zest down a little bit, but I suppose right now Zest actually has a pretty good hold on that right side. Storm is scary, and the choke point is scary too. However, the Lurkers are going to start trying to make some space, and Zest just backs away from it. So Zest wants to move into the middle of the map instead. He's maxed out again, so credit to Zest. He kind of got to where we've been discussing, getting maxed out and back on an army that can maybe be influential here. I suppose let's see what actually goes down with this as we keep this underway. That's just going to start fighting Dark. Already clearing out a whole bunch of stuff as we see the Storms trying to come through. I mean, we've got Spore Crawlers to help out against those Interceptors, but now the Hydras move through. I feel like the Vipers just abducted the carriers away from the larger chunk of Hydras, so that was an intriguing moment, but I think this is indeed just going to be a little bit too much. Zest doesn't have enough left over. A little Viper abduct there to continue through, but I think this one, my friends, is absolutely going to be going the way of Dogs. That zombie died off again. He lost his economy throughout, and we get 1-1 between the two players. So 1-1 tied up. Ready for our next game soon. Guys, I'm gonna go and take this to a quick little break. As in the oh, let's I think it's just top right is Dark, bottom left is Zest. Obviously, I forget they do this weird little setup, and I was like, wait, who is where? Actually, give me a second to figure it out. Yeah, that's who is where. All good, not really overly important anyways, as we just get set up and ready to go into the next map here. So yeah, here's map number 3. It's going the distance here between these two. Again, this is the first match of the group. We'll be doing the Reynor versus Q game series after this as well, so that's what's currently going on. That's where we currently stand, so yeah. Fun stuff, exciting stuff, enjoying the game so far. Hopefully you guys are as well. It's actually been a pretty cool ZVP, definitely a bit of a different ZVP. That last game I can't get over, still that fight from Dog, just the swarm just encapsulates everything of Zest, and bang, it's like bang, and the Protoss is gone. Yeah, that was just brutal. And for Zest as well, like, he got rebuilt off of that, but you could just tell it was like bits and scraps and stuff, and I wasn't really even convinced, but it absolutely was enough in the end. As we saw, it was still a one-sided fight at the end. As we get to the decider map now, again, best of 3 in all of these group stages. Best of 5s will start for the playoffs of this event. Playoffs will start on Monday. So it's what? It's Wednesday today, so we got one last day of groups tomorrow, and then playoffs that will start on Monday. So yeah, I still have to cast the end of yesterday's group as well, though, so I'll be probably doing that. I want to say I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, but yeah, we'll see. I think we should be able to do it tomorrow between events, actually. So anyways, yeah, getting this going and just seeing what happens. A Stargate on the way up, so third game in a row with the Stargate opening, but obviously we've been very reluctant to really make much beyond like an Oracle or so, and then continuing on from there. That's kind of been the plan so far from our zesty boy in this series. So in that regard, I gotta say, I have enjoyed just a bit of difference in PvZ. And I mean, PvZ in general, I think, has been becoming more more interesting lately. I feel like we've seen more and more games that are not just the double Stargate, Void Race, SkyToss camping. But yeah, this series has been a treat of not having any of that at all, and just different stuff every time. Let's see if that keeps up, like I say. Oracle is on the way through. Warpgate is continuing along, and Let's see how Void Ray is up and down the overview. Obviously, this is the most likely game to be double Stargate Void, as we haven't seen the Void Ray into Oracle yet. It's always been that Oracle first and then double Oracle or so. So this could be third Nexus. It does look like it's lining up to be, in fact, the double Stargate Void Ray this time around from Zest. The Oracle finishes up, back to another Void Ray. One thing you can do if you go kind of Void Rays into, or if you want to kind of mix this up a little bit, you could just down one Stargate and make more Void Rays. And then actually just kind of building the ground army quickly. So just thinking of other ways you can get to that ground army if that's still the way he wants to be playing, which, like I say, has been kind of a real thing for Zest as of late. So yeah, you can treat about that as a couple of drones go down. It's going to be seen now, +1 air weapons is on the way as well, but still no second Stargate. There's another Void Ray. Second Stargate now, if we're going to see it, I guess. It's going to be a Twilight Council, so it is going to be a little bit of kind of what I suggested, I guess. This idea of, hey, like, I'm going to be, you know, taking Void Rays, but I'm not fully committed to Void Rays. I've got other things that I'm going into as well, basically, and, you know, I'm actually really focused on this ground army, but you can't necessarily tell because I'm still building the Void Rays. Your scouting is limited, you know, so for Dark, it's a very difficult read to make. That's suddenly this ground army is coming through, and that's something he's then got to respond against. Loses a few drones as he does get himself into the Baneling Nest, gets that set up to give him a little bit of a safety net here as well. Yeah, just those drones still coming through, a couple Lings on the way in, +1 air weapons is coming up, charge, and +1 attack. All of these upgrades continuing through from Zest right now, nothing really too crazy about it, as we just continue along. Continuing through at the moment. Excuse me, a lot of gates coming up, Temple Archives and the Robo Facility continuing through. The charge is about halfway done. And all of this just continuing in is just keep this going. Going to be seeing the +1 melee upgrade continuing in as well. A Ling just going to get picked off. A few drones coming through. I mean, obviously Dark's going to opt for the melee upgrades. So that's kind of intriguing. Dark going to play melee upgrades. That's obviously a little bit different from the guaranteed expectation here, for example. So that's a little bit of a difference to kind of look at already. Something else for us to see. As we, excuse me, sorry. Continue through. Let me grab a drink quickly, guys. My throat's feeling a little bit scratchy. Excuse me, sorry. So, yeah, but what person comes across the map, I mean, Zest is basically just, again, trying to get Dark to be not ready for an attack like this. A bunch of Zealots warp in. And in we go. I mean, it's got kind of ties to that first game, in a way. Obviously, it's not exactly the same. It does have its differences, but you know, there's a lot of Zealots, there's a couple Archons, he's going to try and kill Dark with it, so in that way it's very similar. Now some Banes finishing up, and they're going to try and chase for the Zealots. They don't really want to hit the Archons, because that's not a great trade a lot of the time, so that's a trade you usually look to avoid instead. That's going to be seeing our Lings and Banes continuing through. The Void's up in the main with a few Zealots here as well. So this kills about 6 drones. He's had a lot of drones running around at least, so that is something which is going, I think, very well, you could argue, for Zest. I say you could argue, I think absolutely guaranteed it's going pretty well for Zest in that regard. So, yeah, I think that's part of this that you can look at, as we otherwise just see these couple of Voids going to get a Swanning Pool, perhaps. That's actually big considering it's melee upgrades and Lings that you're building right now. So this Swanning Pool goes down, has to build a new one, Dark, and maybe that creates some opportunity later down the line. The Queens chasing the Prism will not get the Prism, but will, because of it, get a yeah, will, because of this situation, actually end up getting themselves a kill on an Archon. As Zest is now on his way to Disruptors. Well, Dark definitely disrupted so far without the Disruptors being on the map. Worker count 70, army supplies kind of even. Zest just going to find a moment to hit an Extractor. And that's obviously just very annoying as well. Just picking away an Extractor here, chipping through that is going to be just something else you can kind of add to the list of things that will continue on for the moment. As We do kind of just continue on otherwise, though. It's not going to be anything else too crazy happening, I suppose. Yeah, just gonna kind of chill out for a little bit then, and the game gets to kind of go forwards. Now, there is, again, a lot of lings and a lot of melee upgrades, so keep that in mind too. That's going to be important here, because that's going to give Dark some potentially good fights with these lings already running across the map for a bit of surround. Building roaches behind this and getting into a hive already. He's also thinking now about a spire, so that's where Dark's kind of frame of mind is at. Kind of a bit of everything. He is a little bit all over the place, really. As we just have these few banelings in the overlords. They're going to start making a move, so I like that. We'll see if they drop on the army, or if they're just going to be straight up for harassment, as Zest is poised to hit from the top and the right-hand side of the map at the moment, so kind of set up to strike from everywhere. Very interested as to how that will go. There's a couple of disruptor shots come through. I'm just going to be seeing these queens fighting, the Lings Banes coming in. I mean, not really getting a lot of the zealots with the Baneling seems to be the concern for me. That's a big issue, actually, as these Archons will continue to go. The Void Rays are still harassing as well. That's been shown in the picture-in-picture, something that's just been kind of an ongoing factor. And amongst all the rest of it now is just going to be seeing our army of Archons. Oh my god, that disruptor shot. Not as bad as it could have been, but jeez, I mean, Zest killing a lot of stuff. The problem is what Dark is rebuilding is just roaches against like a massive Archons here, and it just feels like those roaches are just popping out into, well, really a whole bunch of nothing, right? So that kind of sucks. I'm going to go ahead and say this one might just be a done deal, because I don't think Dark has the quality of army anymore that he needs. You need a significant amount more if you're playing kind of a melee upgrade style, right? You need a lot of Lings and Banes to wrap around, run into Swarm. And Dark just doesn't have that any longer, and hence Zest can take this down, finish it up, and it's a 2-1 victory for Zest in this best of 3. Zest moving through to the winner's match. GG's. Yeah, that music's kind of loud. Alright guys, so